Starting an entire homestead from scratch can seem overwhelming and expensive, but there are ways of doing it without making a huge income. Think about our ancestors and how they were able to live off the land with very little money. Sure, having a lot of money when you're getting started can make things easier, but it's definitely not the only way. And I would actually argue that having a lot of money when you're getting started can prevent you from learning valuable skills and knowledge because you aren't getting your hands as dirty and you're not as emotionally invested. There is a huge difference from designing and building your own animal shelter with a water catchment system versus going out and buying a prefab building, putting it on your land, hooking up to city water, and just turning on a hose. Understanding the process and appreciating the outcome can really be life changing. So, I want to share with you the top 10 lessons that I have learned so far while we have started our homestead from scratch with a very low income. Whether your goal is to have a huge piece of property and grow all of your own food, or you're just wanting to be a little bit more self sufficient in your current location, I think there will be a tip in here for everybody. So at the end of the video, you can let me know which tip was most helpful for you and make sure that you add your own to help everybody in the comments and just help the community. My first tip is going to be make short-term sacrifices. Dave Ramsey has this quote that goes, "Live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else." And while I don't agree with everything that Dave Ramsey teaches, this is a really valuable way to live. It is okay and good to struggle with integrity in the short term in order to reach long-term goals. So we bought a beautiful piece of property that we plan to start our homestead on, but it was raw land. There was nothing on it. There's no water hookups, there's no electric hookups, there's no house, there's no structures on it whatsoever, or there wasn't when we bought it. We are going to have to put all of these things on it to make it what we want. That is the way we were able to afford a beautiful piece of property that is going to meet all of our needs. So while we are working through those stages, we are living off grid on the property in our camper. While it's not the most convenient way to live, we know that the sacrifices that we're making today are going to get us where we want to be. And we are able to design the life that we're living in exactly the way we want it. We are working towards putting a well on our property. We will be building a house. We have already built structures on our property for water catchment and shelters for animals. We have a shelter for ourselves. This way we will be able to cash flow everything that we are putting on this property so that we can remain debt free. Which leads me into tip number 2 is to have a very low monthly budget. I talk a lot on my channel and I've done a lot of videos about my family's monthly budget, which I will link down below and you can go watch some of our budget videos. But basically we have gotten our monthly budgets down really low, so we're not spending a lot of money on anything that's unnecessary. Since we're living off grid, we don't have any utility bills, we don't have a mortgage, we don't have any other type of debt. We don't have car loans. We have some basic insurance that we have to pay, groceries, and things like that. But overall, we don't have subscriptions. We do a lot of free activities, and we are just extremely aware of how we are spending our money. I know that life in general is really expensive right now, but there are almost certainly things that you can cut from your budget in order to save a little bit of money and put towards some longer term goals that are going to help you get where you really want to be. Do everything you possibly can do yourself. You really have two options. That you can either earn money and pay somebody to do something for you, or you can do that thing yourself and keep your money. You can have nice things without having a lot of money if you are able and willing to put in the work it's going to take to have those nice things. If you don't know how to do something, learn how to do something. Nobody knows how to do anything until they've learned. You can watch YouTube videos or read books. Ask friends and family to show you how to do the things that they know how to do. Do not accept that you can't do something because you don't know how. Everyone was born a blank slate. Nobody knows how to do anything until they learn how to do it. We had never built a structure like this before. We had never built a water catchment system. but we learned how to do it when we got here because we needed it done. Make sure that you are always learning new skills. There's another quote that goes, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." Basically, it is better to know a whole bunch of different skills than just one specific skill. Being a homesteader is being a generalist and not a specialist. Generalizing and knowing a whole bunch of different skills versus knowing one very specific skill. A lot of people will have a job that they specialize in and they know one skill really, really well. While that is beneficial for that one job, that is a way that we are trapped in a system of having to go to work and make money and not really being able to do things on our own. When you are able to do a whole bunch of different skills, then you are not relying on other people to know how to do those things for you. When you have a homestead, you know how to grow your own food, you can build things, you can fix things. When you have a broad range of knowledge, not only do you know how to do a whole bunch of different things, but you're also able to integrate all of those skills into different tasks. You're able to connect the dots and understand how certain things connect and use one skill to learn about something else that might not be related at all. You're also able to look at the bigger picture of things and understand concepts from a different big picture perspective that is going to give you a different worldview and a different understanding of your goals. That was kind of deep, but I really feel like it is important to be more of a jack of all trades, to be a generalist than a specialist, especially in today's difficult economic times when you need to rely on yourself a little bit more than relying on an income or somebody else to do things. Every time you learn a new skill and you learn how to do something, not only is it a helpful skill in the present moment, but it's something that can be applied to future use. A really simple example is if your toilet is leaking or running, learning how to fix that problem now instead of calling a repairman is something that you can use over and over and over again. You're going to learn how to fix it one time and you're going to have many leaky toilets or many issues with your toilet, even knowing how to completely replace your toilet when you need a new one. Building on these skills and knowledge is going to help you save money in the future. I showed you earlier that we built the shelter and the water catchment system, but we hadn't not ever built anything before. We have been learning how to build stuff by renovating houses and doing little projects here and there as we have continued to build up our skills to the point where we can now build a structure. We want to build our house, so we need to practice these skills and learn things as we go. Always, whenever possible, buy secondhand and discount items. We have paid full price for very little things on our property. When we go to Home Depot, we look in the cold lumber section and get cold lumber. When we are pulling things off of the shelf that are not in the cold lumber section, we are looking for the boards that are warped or a little wonky, and we are going to the manager, telling the manager, hey, these boards are bent. This isn't a straight board. This board's a little wonky. Can we get a discount? Our Home Depot gives a 70% discount to all of their cold lumber. When you're doing a project like building a chicken coop or doing stuff in the garden or just putting up some basic fencing, try and find cold lumber and get a discount. Instead of buying new items, we go on Facebook Marketplace and try and find used items. All of the equipment that we have has been used. But also make sure when you're looking for used items, like if you go to a thrift store or something like that, that you're actually price comparing, because sometimes thrift items, yard sale items, especially places like Goodwill and stuff, those prices are getting pretty high right now, and you want to make sure that you're actually getting a good deal. So make sure that you are very aware of the price you're paying, the used price versus the new price. If you don't like the price, you can always offer lower. Start small. You don't have to do everything all at once. In fact, you really shouldn't do everything all at once, because that's just how you get overwhelmed and regret everything that you're doing and want to sell and give up your whole dream. Nothing worth it is ever easy, and you can't have everything, do everything, learn everything overnight. So just relax, slow down, and this is something that we really need to work on because we are pretty gung ho about doing stuff and getting stuff accomplished. But you can do that for a little while. But when you notice yourself getting overwhelmed or tired or not having fun anymore, it's time to relax, take a step back, and slow down a little bit. Even if you don't have a property yet and are just dreaming about starting a homestead or being more self sufficient, you can start learning skills now. You can plant a small garden, even if it's just a container garden or something in your kitchen, a little windowsill garden. You can learn how to fix things, start fixing things around your house instead of calling a repairman, cook from scratch, preserve things, start doing some DIY crafts. You can build stuff. You can learn how to forage in a local park. You can begin learning a whole lot of skills no matter where you are in your journey. If you do have a piece of property, it is very valuable to slow down and watch your land, watch the seasons, watch the sun throughout the entire year, the animals on the property, the plants on the property, what they do throughout the year, where shade is. Like all of these things are just very valuable, and all that they require is observation. So if you don't have any money to do anything, if you don't have time to do anything because you're working or you're busy or you're a parent, just slow down and just observe. And that is enough for right now. When you are ready to purchase land, make sure that you're not buying too much land because you are going to be paying for that property. You're going to be paying property taxes on that land, and you don't want it to go to waste. Generally, like 5 to 10 acres is going to be plenty to start a beginner homestead. There are some people who have homesteads on just an acre. It's just all about being really efficient and making the land work for you. Also depends what type of land you have, where you're located. All these factors play into how much you need, but really consider being efficient and buying the least amount of land that is realistic for your goals. The same thing goes with where you're going to be living on the property. You could buy a piece of property that's raw land or has no house on it, or you could buy a property that has a home already on it, maybe a mobile home. Maybe you can put an RV on it and just live tiny for a little while. You don't have to have everything that you're going to end up with right away. Like I kind of said earlier, short term sacrifices for long term goals. Think about the end goal, not necessarily about where you're starting. You're also going to want to buy in a low market. I know that house prices and even land prices right now are pretty insane. Interest rates are really high. Right now might not be the best time to buy. Maybe you want to wait and save up money and wait for prices to go back down a little bit, wait for interest rates to go back down. They will eventually do that. But I also understand if you want to buy a piece of land, there is still land out there that is really affordable. You just need to look in the lower market areas. There are places that are a lot more affordable than other places, but don't just think about the purchase price of the land. Think about taxes and regulations and all of that stuff when you're buying a piece of property. When we were looking at property, we kind of wanted to stay in the East Tennessee area. That's where we are originally from. But when we were looking at property in that area, we realized that everything that we wanted was really out of our budget. It was too expensive. So we looked a little bit outside of our area and we ended up buying something in Southwest Virginia, which we're just, like 4 hours away from Knoxville. It's not that big of a deal, but just be a little bit flexible in exactly what you're looking for. Consider future property value when you're looking at an area. Maybe you're buying something really cheap and affordable right now that because of what's going on in the area, a city close by, some development that's going on, climate, tourism, just what's near it, maybe in the future you can kind of predict that the property value is going to go up higher in one location versus another location. I wouldn't buy anything on the coast or in a flood area where natural disasters are going to continue to increase in the future, or places where drought is happening and water is becoming more scarce. insurance rates are going up. Try and avoid those places. Look at places that are going to be safe in the future. When we bought our property, we sold our home and had equity in it to be able to purchase our land with cash and have some money left over to be able to start our homestead. That was not something that happened quickly overnight. I am almost 40. I have been working really hard my entire life to be debt free, to increase my home investments by buying houses and renovating them. I've never made a lot of money. I've always been pretty low income. I was a single mom for a long time and don't see where I am right now and think that you can't get there because it's been years and years of hard work to get where I am today. None of this is instant gratification. If you're lower income, there are sacrifices that are going to have to be made. You may have to wait, you may have to work really hard and go slow, do things yourself, set small goals, achieve small goals to get to the big end goal where you want to be. Generate an income on your homestead, or at least plan to do so. So we've only been here for 3 months, so we haven't really had a chance to start making an income on our homestead. We're still kind of like doing the basics and getting everything set up. But we do have goals and plans. And when we bought the property, we had ideas and we saw things that we could do with the property to generate an income. You can do things like rentals, boarding, training, having events, selling some sort of product like produce or flowers, make your own soap, eggs, sourdough. There's so much things that you can produce yourself on your property and sell it for a little bit of a profit. It may never be something that makes you super wealthy, but it can help offset some of the costs of running your homestead. Now, I have been sharing our whole journey on YouTube, and I do make money off of sharing YouTube videos. So in a way, I guess we kind of are already making a profit on our homestead just through YouTube videos. But if you're wanting to start a homestead, you can document your journey and share it on social media, and that can be a way to make money. And then you always can have outside income. You can work a job, especially if you have two adults in your household. Maybe one of them could work while the other one does a lot of the homesteading task, or you can both work part-time and take turns doing the homesteading task. Just realize that task in your house is a form of income. Childcare is a form of income. Cooking, gardening, growing your own food so you don't have to buy that at the grocery store, preserving, cooking from scratch so you're not going out to eat. All of these things is a form of income because it is preventing you from spending money. We live in a society that only views work as making money. Like that is all that work is. And that is a whole subject I could get into, but it really devalues what is typically woman's work and also devalues homesteading and anything that is not producing a profit for corporations. So when you're living on the land and you're doing all of these tasks yourself and you are saving yourself money by doing it yourself and you're not spending money, that is not great for our economy and is not something that is going to be promoted. In order to make money, you really do have to spend money, and you need to do the math and factor in the opportunity cost there, as far as like how much money are you spending on clothing, on gas to get to work, on vehicle maintenance and repair, childcare, the time that you're sacrificing. Maybe because you're working, you're not able to have a garden, cook from scratch, fix things around your property. You're not able to learn all of these valuable skills. What sort of other sacrifices are you making? Time, not being there with your family, not learning these skills for future self-sufficiency goals. There are so many benefits to learning these skills and doing these things yourselves that can be measured beyond financial. Be efficient when you are planning out how you're going to design your homestead and what all you're going to put on it and have and focus on. When you're not efficient, you could be wasting time and money and reaching goals that you're not really interested in reaching. You have to really stop and think about what it is that you want and not necessarily what society tells you that you should have when you're thinking about what to grow in your garden. Make sure that you're growing stuff that's going to actually be useful to you, that you actually eat right now. When you're adding animals to your property, make sure that they are going to be worth the time, money, and energy that you are putting into them. Sometimes you might need to balance self sufficiency with cost because certain things are not necessarily going to save you money. For example, having chickens for eggs is probably not going to save you very much money, but it will make you more self sufficient. Growing certain things in your garden is not necessarily going to save you money. Potatoes are pretty cheap, onions are pretty cheap, but it's going to make you more self sufficient, more self reliant. Being able to produce these things and grow these things is going to be beneficial. Snuffleupagus says hi again. He always comes and photobombs my videos. Hey, Snuffleupagus. Are you an efficient animal to be on our property? Snuffy is our lawnmower. Stay tuned because I am going to be doing a video on exactly how much money we have spent so far on our homestead for like the first 3 months that we have been here. I'll do a little tour and show you everything that we have accomplished. Don't forget to let me know in the comments down below what your favorite tip was and leave any other tips that you might have. If you're curious about how we are living on our property with no electricity, no running water, you can check out these two videos right here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching.